Live, and I'm gonna be adding Tom. Is it working? Yo, let's go. How you doing, Tom? What's up, Tom? How you doing, man? Jiu-Jitsu was supposed to end at like 1:30. And yeah.
Yeah, I was just literally playing Spider-Man while watching your stream, so I'm literally just chilling for a bit, so that's totally good.
Anyway, dude, like, I would like you to ask me some questions about, say, I mean, your martial arts, Japanese judo, sorry, Japanese jiu-jitsu, judo, Wing Chun. What other styles do you practice?
So recently, the ones I've been focusing the most is like Nogi BJJ and
Okay.
jacketed Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. But Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, when you do it jacketed, like mostly we did it as judo, so it can just be called judo because it's literally the same stuff.
All right.
So that's
So
what we've been doing
ask
the
me a couple
most.
questions about it because I had an interview with you last time and I mostly asked you questions.
Right.
Yeah. So if you could, I mean, just spitball. It's not super formal or anything. Just go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Just see if I can place my phone.
I'm gonna go somewhere else because they're talking right now and I don't want to interrupt them.
Sure.
I might cut the first part of this video, so I might do an intro and then do it. But I'm also kind of lazy, so I probably won't do that.
Yeah, it's fine.
This is informal. I did one with Matthew Lee that was more formal, but even the one with
Right.
Matthew Lee, like you guys are my friends. I don't want to make you guys
Yeah,
sit through
exactly.
like a fucking 2 hour thing of like, you know. Uh,
Yeah, I prefer honestly on my channel. All the ones I did are mostly informal. I just prefer it that way. I guess it just feels a bit more easy for people to jump in.
他给你。
没有打扫，然后 那个放在地上，我帮你拿走。
Oh, okay, okay. Sorry, someone took my portable charger for whatever reason. Anyway, ugh.
All
Anyway,
right, so yeah, the quickest questions
oh
that
no 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 no!
I
我
we
我
just
给你的我100
对，这是租的，
猪的
对，租的，
猪的是什么？
这是要还的，
还的
哦，
for 1 day。
我要怎么解？
等一下，sorry, wait, sorry, dude. Yo, someone donated $50 to my GoFundMe. Thank you so much, man. Yash Raj, let's go. Thank you so much. Anyway,
Yeah, I was gonna ask. In general, what do you have more fun with, no-gi or gi? Regardless if it's
no gi,
stand-up,
no gi
bottom.
for sure.
Yeah, me too.
Not even a
Yeah,
question.
me too. Yeah, me too.
But that's
But
the point of it is
recently,
fun. Like the point of the gi is well for it. People say it's for like jacket. In real life, sometimes the jacket rips. In real life, sometimes the jacket is different, like grip.
yeah, right. I've seen that. Who is right.
Oh, you don't buy the belts.
Yeah.
It's just for 1 day.
Just a rain.
Oh, okay. 可以明白。对不起。Alright, so go ahead and ask me a couple more.
Right.
Oh,
What
thank
was I
you,
gonna?
Chung Jun. Sorry, my mom speaks Cantonese, my dad speaks Taiyu, so my Mandarin is awful. And like, believe it or not, we got unalived quite a bit. So there's none of us who speak Taiyu left, or at least real Taiyu. Some people say Taiyu means Hokkien, and that's CCP propaganda. But anyway, let's not get executed by the CCP right now. So if you could ask me a couple more questions, maybe about 10. Maybe about
Um,
Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, Wing Chun, Shaolin, Sanda,
yeah,
anything.
I have a really, I think, a good question. That I find the most fun to think about is like how much of Wing Chun you feel in nogi grappling when you're standing up. Like that's some of my favorite stuff to think about. So like,
That's
do
hard to
you
say.
do you
That's hard to
find it?
say because the chisao is very different from the goal of
Mhm.
grappling. And here's the thing: a lot of the time, I think, especially MMA fighters, they neglect two things. Two things in real life fighting. Number one is, well, I should say three, but one the second one has to do with the third one. So I'm gonna say two. Number one, of course, is hitting while grappling. Sanda does it
Yeah,
well. Wing Chun does it well. Go Chun does it well. Go Chun does it off your back even and on the ground, which almost no other martial art has that I've studied at least. I think Japanese jiu-jitsu has like a little bit, but it's very limited, and
yeah,
you just do maybe one or two. And karate has like maybe one or two, maybe like a punch on the ground or whatever, or reverse punch. But that doesn't work, and it's not as sophisticated if you don't understand Brazilian jiu-jitsu, if you don't understand judo, and it's essentially something you have to add to it. But Gochuan has all of it, which is something very important. And I think that if you just do no gi jiu-jitsu, for example, you're not going to feel it as much. Maybe if you don't know wrestling and you mistake it for chisao, then it could feel like chisao. But if you know how to wrestle, you realize that it's just all wrestling. But the second
yeah,
you add strikes in, for example, I do a very cool drill with some of my students at the Sandan MMA club at ASU. And because ground and pound is so important in Junshi Sanda, because you're allowed ground and pound that you're not allowed to in like say the UFC, for example, like knees to the ground opponent and soccer kicks, as well as 12 to 6 elbows before it got unbanned. And a couple of other strikes, Junshi Sanda allows that, for example, the Unified rules, even currently one championship doesn't allow, for example, soccer kicks. And Pride, for example, sometimes didn't allow elbows. And the different weight classes and stuff, ground and pound can make a huge difference. The drill is you are allowed to grapple and strike, but only when you're touching. So it's like the reverse of Sanda, right? So Sanda, if you're touching, you can still strike, but none of the strikes count. So in the reverse, so that's Wushu Sanda, sorry. In the Junshi Sanda drill, it's reverse. So you can strike. It's kind of like combat sambo without kurtka, right? So
right, right, right.
none of the strikes count unless you either, well, obviously during the drill it doesn't count for when you're doing it in sparring because you're not trying to rock your opponent. But in the real fight, it doesn't count unless you rock your opponent or you hit them while touching them. So, for example, if
Right.
you have them in tie plum or whatever, right? You're kneeing them. That counts. But if you punch them from outside space, then it doesn't count. Or let's say you're on
Mhm.
mount, you're gonna be punching them, and then when you have that, even when you're on the ground, you feel the chisao. And in MMA sparring, you should also feel it, but it's less standardized because in MMA you don't have as much moving around and you don't have as much feeling as you would, for example, in a Junshi Sanda style drill. Junshi Sanda style drill. Junshi means military. The second thing that it's missing that Wing Chun also fulfills, which answers your question about nogi grappling, is practicing without weapons. And now when I say weapons, that doesn't mean just like, oh, I have a knife or a gun or whatever. Which again, guns are also neglected by most martial artists because you're not in America where you can just like have guns constantly. And fortunately, I'm from America. I'm from America. I'm a
America.
proud American, and I have like a shit ton of guns. And it's cringy when it's like, oh, all that just to get beat by a Glock, motherfucker. I'm a better shot than you. I'm killing you first. I was like, you're done. You're done. Like, first of all, I know how to clear a room. I know how to hide behind cover. I know what kind of cover is good. I know that's not something to cover from. I know that's not something to cover from. But I know that's something to cover from, for example. And you're not shooting me before I shoot you. But anyway, you have horrible aim. You have not been to the range since you were in like high school or college, and I will outshoot you. But that's neither here nor there. But because they don't train like that, they don't see how useful the center line theory is when you have a gun. When you have a gun, especially if you have like a not a live round of actual bullets, but like say for example a paintball gun or pellet gun, or we in the school that I teach at, we use like a little, it's Nerf or nothing, like little Nerf guns, so we can see what happens. and then we just throw it in the center, and then you've probably seen this drill. You just throw the center and see who gets who first, right? And you'll feel the chi sao there because the center line theory makes a huge difference when your bong sao can change the trajectory of the gun and save your life, right?
There you go.
That's a huge thing. So now, and even then, if you don't have a gun, right, you have a blade. And if the blade is 2 inches off, that also saves your life because you miss an artery, for example. And if even beyond just standard weapons, people forget they have a weapon all the time they carry around in daily life. Number one, the thing that I'm filming on right now, my phone, that is a weapon. The number one way to defend yourself from something that has a weapon is not running away, it's not grappling, and it's not striking. It's using an improvised weapon. And you carry one with you all around every day, and it's a projectile that costs a lot of money, but it's also a brick. It's also something that you can use to throw at something. And if you carry around a bag, say a big bag like this, that's also a weapon. And the most important one, that even if you carry around nothing around with you and you just go outside and put on your bootstraps, get ready for the day, you put on your bootstraps. If you put on shoes, you have a weapon on your feet. Number one, if you have slides, for example, you can take them off easily and deploy them. I say deploy them like they're weapons that you can like fucking shoot. Bang, bang. Imagine you get it like a fucking, yeah. If you guys had Asian or Mexican moms, guys, you fucking know. Right? That shit is a weapon. Like I've seen people get knocked out by that shit. Obviously, you're probably not, but if you can use an improvised weapon, throw it at them, stun them, run away, sidekick them, knock them out, whatever. Like that's a huge fucking advantage, right?
Right.
And then again, you have to run away without shoes, so I'd recommend probably sidekicking them or something like that, or throwing both shoes at them so you can run barefoot more easily. Or you can get one of those flat shoes like Feiways or wrestling shoes or whatever. I prefer the Feiways for outdoor use because boxing shoes and the wrestling shoes are not made for outdoor use like Feyway are. But including that, you can feel the Wing Chun when you have those weapons, including your shoes. Because when you have your shoes on, you are more rooted into the ground than say if you have socks on like a hard surface, or if you have, for example, barefoot on a matted surface. And that's something that's super underrated that you can take from Chinese martial arts that maybe Savat has, and maybe boxing on a canvas, but like even then, like most of them go on mats or like a softer floor, and they use boxing shoes, which aren't the same as like everyday wear shoes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have any other questions?
That's really, really cool utility, man. That's crazy. So, how much like formal Wing Chun training do you have? Of course, you train with Silala right now.
Okay.
But like before, I never asked you.
Chilala has a completely different style of Wing Chun than literally anybody else on the planet because he's the traditional style, right? That comes from China because China expelled all the Wing Chun people and put out a bunch of CCP propaganda saying stuff like, "Oh, every Chinese martial art, including Swai Jiao, Fujianese White Crane," which by the way, it's in Fujian. Like that's not. I won't say it's not, but very likely not historically close to it. And Wing Chun is from Foshan and Yip Man, obviously, also. And when that happens, then like it's very hard to know whether or not it's true. So at best, it's propaganda, and at worst, it's misinformation that happened. So what I did because of that is I studied all of it, right? And I've gotten a lot of formal training. I can't say for certain. I like to I let other people tell me because I am still young and I'm still learning about it. I'm not a historian or anything. So guys like Matthew Lee, for example, he'll say to you that Fujianese White Crane, Swai Jiao, Fujianese White Crane comes from Fujian. Swai Jiao comes from Mongolia. It's very well documented. Wing Chun comes from Foshan, from the Cantonese people. And the reason why the CCP, for example, or for example, the Han Chinese don't want you to know about that is because they want to take credit for it. They want to say, "Oh, it's from the Han Chinese people. We made that, right? It wasn't from the Fujianese people. It wasn't from the Mongolians. It wasn't from the Cantonese people. It was from us." And they want to take credit for it, which makes sense. That's something that's inherent to Chinese culture, and in a way, it's more traditional to say that someone else did your style because it's very Chinese things. Like I didn't make that. Some old Chinese general 5,000 years ago made that, dude. Dude, I didn't make bong sao or bong shou in Mandarin as the Han Chinese say it, right? Fucking some dude back in the 5th century and from Shaolin invented it. Eng Moy, for example. and they have a Mandarin name for her, but I completely forgot her name in Mandarin. I'm not gonna lie, it's like Yu something, I think. I don't know, but the fact that her name is in Cantonese just proves that like she doesn't speak Mandarin or anything. Like all the terms are in Cantonese and stuff, and like the people who are really good at Wing Chun typically speak Cantonese and not Mandarin, and they typically are very, very traditional Chinese. Like they marry a Cantonese woman, they settle down in Foshan, they settle down in Taiwan. Maybe they speak Taiyu, right? A very, very non like CCP Han Chinese Mandarin speaking, right? And that's
Right,
because
right.
the CCP before Bruce Lee was popular pushed out all of the people from China into places like Taiwan, like Vietnam, like
Mm.
Thailand, like Burma, and that's where a lot of the other martial arts developed really well when a lot of stuff in China didn't. Because if you look back at old vintage footage, for example, on our mutual friends Jerry Liu's channel, you can see that vintage footage of Wing Chun said that, wait, Wing Chun beats Muay Thai, which if you said that today, people would kill you. Like, people would straight up kill you. Like, people would be like, "Ah, you're a fucking clown, dude." But we have real footage of it. We have real
Yeah.
footage that Wing Chun did beat Muay Thai. Like maybe it's an isolated incident and that didn't happen often, but it was a very clear show that these straight strikes that Wing Chun have are very effective against the round straight strikes of Muay Thai.
It might not be
Until
often, but it
un-
happened.
yeah, but it happened. But that's until Muay Thai developed. So that's completely different than, say, for example, a boxer comes to Muay Thai and sees Muay Buran and adds boxing gloves. They add a ring. They add all of these things that make it no longer just Muay Thai, which is great, actually. Even though it comes from colonization, it's great. And unfortunately, China didn't allow that. They kicked all their martial arts out because they were scared of rebellion. And as soon as it started being popular again, they take it back and say, "Oh, yeah, we invented that. Yeah, Muay Thai, we invented that, dude. Swai Jiao, we invented that, dude. Wing Chun, we invented that, dude." Like, and some of it is true. Like, for example, Wudang and Henan definitely, like, almost 100% certain historically, do come from Shaolin. The other ones, at best, it's propaganda. At worst, it's misinformation. I don't want to say it's true or not because propaganda can still be true, right? I don't want to say if it's
Right.
true or not. I'll let guys like Matthew Lee, historians, and other more educated people like Chilala, who also says it's not from Shaolin, and other guys like Grandmaster Meng, who says it is from Shaolin, say these things for me because I am not as educated. I've been doing Wing Chun since I was, I think, 8. I'm not sure, but like I've learned 3 different styles of Wing Chun, right? So which one is real? I don't know. Which one's the most traditional? Probably Chilala's. Which one is very practical? Maybe all of them. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. It is such a big, complicated thing. That's. I think the biggest issue I see like online in martial arts circles is that the history of everything is the hardest like mystery to solve,
Mhm.
regard whichever martial art it be, because like we can talk about function and stuff that we do today in 2026, but
Mm.
like to know the actual history and lineage, you gotta like really, really dig deep, and most people don't
Mm.
have to or don't want to and stuff. So yeah,
Um,
it is all kind of
it is
provisional
muddy.
when
It
we
is
talk
muddy for
about
sure. But one thing that I talked about with Matthew Lee, who films all the Sanda, he's very good at history, much better than I am. In fact, I have him look at all my videos afterwards, make sure, hey, is this correct? And I'm gonna send this to him as soon as this video is over, and be like, hey, is this correct? And I'm gonna be like, "Hey, is this correct?" And he's gonna tell me, "Actually, back in 500,000 BC in XYZ, actually this was pronounced this way." And then I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I'll fix it for the rest of my life. And then sometimes I'll look at other people's stuff. For example, I quoted something from someone's website about someone bringing Sanda primarily to America, and I got in big trouble from that just because I quoted their website, and apparently it was quote unquote misinformation or whatever. And I just quoted it from their website, and they're like, "Oh, okay, that's misinformation." I was like, "What? Okay." I mean, I believed it off the website because they're reputable people, but in any case, what's not important is where it comes from or the history, but instead, is it Chinese? No. But is it something that can provide good effectiveness and health? Absolutely. and that is more important than its ability to be Chinese or whatever. And that's something that gets lost upon a lot of martial artists because a lot of them are foreigners or Americans or MMA or whatever, and it's very difficult. Sorry, they're very loud.
It's all good.
I'll wait for a second. Uh, but in any case, 再见. Okay, but anyway, all right, let me go somewhere else.
Mhm.
等一下。All right. It's not frozen. All right. What's more important than the ability for it to be Chinese, as I talked with Matthew Lee, is it something that has effectiveness? Is it something that has worth? And is it more importantly than either of those things for MMA, for real fighting? It doesn't matter. Does it teach you the values of how to be a good person? And where do those values come from? Whether it is from Shaolin, whether it is from Wing Chun, whether Foshan, wherever. Those from Wing Chun come from Buddhism, which and Confucianism, both of which were not from Mandarin speakers, both of which were not the most CCP Chinese, both of which
Right.
do not necessarily need the most propagandist way of teaching Chinese culture. And that is most important because all three of the people that I've learned from, and by necessity, I sought them out because they are effective. And the people that I cited that are very effective using their Chinese martial arts, I cited Chilala, for example. He's competed in multiple MMA, kickboxing, KOD, many different tournaments, and won. And he's lost because that shit happens. And yes, Chilala does apply a lot of those Tai Chi principles in his Wing Chun, as well as Liu UMAA, like he literally doesn't do jitsu, but he almost guillotined me and he almost armbarred me in our last video together. And to be honest, he was treating it more like a fight because I didn't know. Okay, I signed an NDA. I can't talk about it, but I've really big news coming up because of that, and I will talk to you about it later. But what I can announce is that I am going to be representing both Taiwan and America for the national team for Sanda. I'm going to be quitting everything MMA for at least 2 years. I got offered a pro debut in Thailand. They're paying me like 5K to show, 5K to win, which is great for a pro debut. But I'm turning that down because the flight, I have to go back to America because of some things that happened with my coach that I can't talk about on camera. And I'm going to be covering for his classes. I'm going back to America to give back to my club, back to my family, back to the people who made me, how I can be. And I've given back here in Taiwan to the people who made me. My judo coach here in Taiwan, in Falian, who speaks Thai as well. He's native Taiwanese, just like me. And I just got my black belt from him today, actually, which is awesome. And as well as everyone else across the world that has helped me along this journey, whether it's Chila, who I'm giving back to now, I'm paying him a shit ton for classes and stuff. Whether it is DFA, who's given me a lot to work with, and whether it's my Swaijiao coach here, whether it's the champion of Asia here, the Taiwan national team here, all of them I'm giving back to. I'm training hard. I'm going to get them a gold medal. And more importantly, I'm going to spend time with them, give them alcohol, and celebrate Chinese New Year. And that's what's important. And when I come back to America, I'm going to do exactly that because as the second in charge and president of the club at the Sun and MMA Club at ASU, as well as the captain of the team in Arizona, I am going to take good care of everybody when I come back home. Don't you worry. I'm coming back for my sister's birthday in April, and I'm going to be competing in Phoenix Wushu in 2026 in May 23rd, and I'm going to be competing in the 56 kilo category. I turned down my pro MMA fight in order to focus on this competition because I'm not going to play anyone cheap, even though there might not be anyone in my division. And I believe the month after that, or the month after that, I'm going to have the Taiwan national team trials for the Asian Games for 2028. And after that, I'm going to represent Team Taiwan in Asia in 2028. But in addition to that, I'm going to do another local tournament, I believe, in September. And then if I make the American team this year, I should be able to compete in Pan Americans in, I believe, October or September. I'm not sure. But in any case, I just made that big announcement because I would like to tell you and my viewers right now, as it is about 8 a.m. in America right now, and no one is watching, but I would like to show you how grateful I am to you as well as everybody else around me for giving me these opportunities and promoting these arts, because ultimately I am not here because of me, but I am here because of you. And when I say you, I don't just mean Tom. I don't just mean everyone who's watching right now. I mean you, the person who either clicked on this video, saw it on Instagram, scrolled through it, or just happened to see me being by, because you are the reason why I can fight. Because the people that are watching, more importantly than my ability to fight, is your ability to watch and be inspired and do things elsewhere in life. Being able to fight barely helps you. I got jumped a few weeks ago. I still got probably a concussion. I defended myself, sure, and there was only 3 guys. Maybe if there was 4, maybe if there was 10, maybe if they had guns instead of knives, maybe I would have gotten much more hurt. Maybe my jacket wouldn't have been the only thing that got cut by the knives. But here's the thing, man. What helps me more in life is the ability to avoid fights. And how do I avoid fights? I have social mobility. I've studied very hard to become a doctor. I'm still studying to become a doctor. I'm leaving my NTU internship here for my ability to become a surgeon, because likely my hands will be good enough to do surgery by the end of my career anyway. And I am going back to America because ultimately, even then, being a doctor and social mobility isn't most important to me. It is giving back to the people back at home. And more importantly than all of that is I avoid fights by being a kind person. And I would not be a kind person. I would not give the money to the homeless man. I would not help my landlord who got into the ER. I would not help my roommate who had a severe peanut allergy and call an ambulance for him if I didn't practice Chinese martial arts. Because the American culture and the European cultures that I'm familiar with, perhaps yours is different in Croatia, have a very stand bystander type of mentality. They just watch. And watching is okay. There's nothing wrong with just watching. But what's more important than just watching is to help. Because although it is not wrong to do nothing, sometimes you have a moral responsibility. When you have great strength, you have great responsibility. It's an old Peter Parker Spider-Man quote. With great power comes great responsibility. Anyway, one last question before you have to go ahead.
Right. Unfortunately, it's been 27 minutes, so I got a dip. So we can definitely do this again.
One more question, real quick.
Let me try and cook up a good one. It's probably not going to be a good one.
No, just anything off the top of your head.
How useful is Aikido, do you think?
Aikido is the most useful martial art in the world. With that, guys, see you guys. Have a good rest of your day, and peace.
Peace.